It's 2 o'clock, so we'll proceed with the Thursday, May 16th commission meeting. And I'd like to ask Commissioner Elliott to lead us in the invocation, and Commissioner Stevens to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we want you to bless this meeting and provide your guidance, wisdom, in helping us engage in meaningful discussion to allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of the city of Brunswick and Glynn County. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect this community. Continue to remind us that all that we do here today and all that we accomplish is for the purpose of truth, for greater glory of you, and for the service of the humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't have anybody for public comment, so I would like to, we're going to revise the employee recognition, and I'd like to recognize Ms. Angela Walker. Angela, would you please stand up? I want to say that she's the pre-treatment coordinator for JWSC. She's got a bachelor's degree in psychology, and she's got a Juris Master's degree. And she goes around and keeps all our grease traps cleaned out, or make sure people are cleaning them out. But last week at the Georgia Rural Water Association, she made a presentation, a 45-minute presentation on ethics in her business. And it was an excellent presentation. It was well received. I bet there was over 400 people in that room. And everybody really, she even had some funny things too. So I just want to commend her. I say it takes a lot of nerve to get up in front of that many people and make that presentation. And I think there was probably 50 JWSC employees there too, and she made them all stand up and be recognized, which was really good advertisement for JWSC. And I just want us to recognize her and give her a round of applause.
Sir, it was a little more difficult in front of the hometown group.
We'll move to committee updates. We had a facilities committee meeting yesterday. We briefly discussed SPLOST 2020 projects, but those are still being worked on. We looked at the water plant flows. All 3 plants are well within permit. The one thing that we see on the flows has been, the well has been fairly dry, so we've got a little bit lower flows, but also our BOD levels are picking up, which is quite reflective of our in the system. We had an update on the L Street project, and we're going to try to work with the city of Brunswick and the contractor to minimize that time that road is shut down completely to traffic, but we don't want our water lines to be the cause of that if at all possible. The smoke testing on St. Simon's is almost complete. I think they're going to finish it by the end of this week. The good thing is we're not finding any major things except for some cross connections and some some drains. And those are big items, and those are going to be easy to be addressed. We did find one tidal creek that's tied into the system, which with high tide, we got a lot of inflow from that, which can be addressed too. So I think we're going to reap a lot of dividends from the smoke testing that we got going on. And now they're going to be doing dye water testing after they finish that. Magnolia Park, that project is waiting for the city of Brunswick to schedule the work so we can start the paving and the pipeline replacement there. The lining's out for bid so far as lining the Whitlock Avenue sewer. That's been put out for bids, and we should be receiving bids and awarded by the end of September. Splash 4003 pump station. The engineers met with the staff concerning some revisions, and hopefully that project the design will be finished by the end of June or the middle of July. The Whitlock Avenue sewer repair, I want to commend the staff for what they did there. That was an emergency situation, and we had, I think, 3 sinkholes that had to be addressed, and they did an excellent job on that, and that's back into service. The oxygen project is moving ahead, and the CPOM's water and sewer rehabilitation and upgrade, I think the county's going to be acting on that this evening, so then we can start moving ahead with that. The staff has been, TV staff has been televising those lines to figure out which ones we need to line or repair, and that should be completed this week. And we're also the staff is going to be getting a smart ball for critical force main evaluation. We've got a lot of ductile line force mains that we need to address, and they're going to be getting a proposal out for that so we can have that done. So as you see on the facilities end, I think a lot of things are being moving fast, and the staff's working hard to do that. And we also have a lot of projects going to be bid pretty soon. So I think the public's going to see a lot of things going on this next year, and I just want to thank everybody for the effort y'all have done to move forward with that. Now we'll move to the Finance Committee. Commissioner Copeland, by the way, is absent. He had to be out of town today. So can I have a motion to excuse Commissioner Copeland from the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. I've asked Commissioner Elliott to give the Finance Committee report.
Okay, and the Finance Committee, we were asked to approve the appointment of the auditor for next year, which is the same auditor we had this year. And that is on the agenda for approval today. One issue, or a couple of issues with it, is we didn't have what the services were that we were contracting for given to us yesterday, but that has now been sent to the commissioners. So if there's any question on the services that we contracted for, John should be able to explain that today during that presentation. The other thing that the commissioners wanted was that the appointment of the auditor for the upcoming year needs to be done in March of each fiscal year, and that's so that if the commissioners want to make a change in the auditor, we have time to adequately search for an auditor and do an RFP and award an audit contract. The other thing that Mr. Donahue brought forward to us for approval was a banking resolution on signature cards that would make the acting director able to sign checks, and that was approved and forwarded for the commission's approval today. We had discussions on customer deposits, on refunds. This was brought forward, and that maybe we should expand that to commercial customers, but right now, who can get a refund of their deposit are only residential customers, and that's by county ordinance. So during the ordinance update process the county's going to undergo, we'll look at this, how we can expand to include commercial customers also. The other problem is the speed at which we are given deposits, and that's a manual process, so it takes a while for us to process customer refunds. We looked at the cutoff policy, and that'll have further discussion at the next commission meeting for the Finance Committee to further establish that the policy will meet our needs. One of the things that we need to have is a look to see what the 2020 income statement and balance sheet will look like if we cease having essentially the late fees taken off so that we're not having that as an income item. Next, we looked at the future banking, rate resolution fees. The commissioners were given a copy of the proposed rate resolution, and we'll be discussing that for approval at the next finance meeting. Next, we talked about a future banking services RFP, and the staff is going to develop an RFP. We had a lengthy discussion on an inventory write-down that's going to occur at the end of the year, but the exact dollar amount is unknown at this time, but it is a major problem for us in maintaining our inventory, that what we thought we had. We're going through and doing a physical count now and gathering all the inventory so we know exactly what we have on hand for operational needs and for taking care of and repairing the system. We looked at the financial statements for the month of April, and the commission looks, we are on track to meet our revenue goals this year and meet our reserve requirements. Do you have any?
Thank you. Human Resources Committee, Commissioner Elliott, y'all had a meeting this morning.
Okay, on human resources, we met today. We went through the job descriptions and qualifications for and expected salary ranges for the project manager, asset management coordinator, maintenance and training manager. We also looked at the job description for the new executive director, and we talked on the Condrey presentation and Condrey methodology. On the Condrey portion of it, we're going to contact Condrey and set up a telephonic presentation so that we understand, and we kind of bracket the size, population size, and market income size of what he looks at and to compare us with. There were a lot of areas that he compared us with that have much higher salaries than we do and have a much larger system. On the executive director, we're going to release a request for application with a suspense of 15 September. Have people have them submit their applications by 15 September 2019 for the position, and that'll be out probably early next week. Any other comments?
On the request for applications, I mean, that's not a hard deadline. I mean, in other words, we don't have the right candidates at that point. It's not, we're not binding ourselves to have to pick one of the ones.
No, that's just when they have to have their resumes in and the information of why they should be selected as the new executive director.
Do any other committee chairman have any comments on anything?
No, sir. The legislative committee did not meet. However, I failed to ask the question to you on the facilities committee. I think something was discussed about RFP for Academy Creek was being deferred or delayed.
Yes, and that's in the
Okay.
approval
All right.
portion of the project.
One of my commissioners asked me that question last night. I didn't
Okay.
get an answer.
I'm sorry.
All right.
The Emergency Preparedness Committee has not met, but I did want to thank Commissioner Duncan and some of the staff. They've been working with Georgia Power to start making sure that our alignments for our critical assets are aligned with Georgia Power, so that we're, kind of as far as establishing services to the reestablishing services community, that our priorities are aligned. So I wanted to thank him for that. And I know there's a meeting next Friday to kind of further that efforts, but we have not met as a committee.
Let's move into the approval section. First is the minutes from the May 2nd, 2019 regular meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of the May 2nd, 2019 regular meeting.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Second is the minutes from the May 2nd, 2019 executive session.
Move to accept minutes as submitted.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Minutes from May 8, 2019 special call meeting. That's under item 3 on the tab.
Are they in here?
Under item 3.
I'm
yes.
sorry, I missed the tab. I apologize.
I'll move to accept the minutes as provided.
I second.
Motion is second. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is Academy Creek Engineering RFP Recommendation Award. The staff has received 5 proposals from engineering firms and have done their preliminary selection. And at the presentation yesterday, we talked about it a little bit, but they felt like they needed to check the personal references first. They had not had time to do that. So we have decided to delay the award of that to the next meeting or perhaps the following meeting. But it will be made. I think they're doing a good job. We got some good proposals, and it's going to be moving pretty quick. We do want to make sure that it's coordinated with the odor control study that's being completed right now by another engineering firm. So we want to make sure that those studies that work does not overlap, and we can take what the odor control study shows and have the firm that's doing the design make sure they're incorporating that in their design. Mr. Burrows, do you have anything else you want to add on that?
The only thing I would say is we went through formal interviews with all 5 firms. They were hour-long interviews, and the selection team got to ask some probing questions, and I feel like we got good answers, and we had a lot of good proposals. So, when we're talking about a fairly large contract, we want to make sure we do all our due diligence, but I think we're going to be in good shape.
Mr. Riles, you ready to have some work done out there?
Mr. Chairman, do we need to defer item 4 to another meeting since it's on our agenda for today?
We're not taking any action today. Do we just need to defer it or what?
I move that we table, is that the right term?
Defer.
The Academy Creek Engineering RFP Recommendation Award.
Second.
All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Harrington Lane Sewer Dedication Acceptance.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good afternoon. Before us is an infrastructure dedication to the Joint Water and Sewer Commission. This infrastructure was put in by a private entity that needed to extend gravity sewer to their development on Harrington Lane, St. Simons Island. This is the formal dedication of that privately constructed infrastructure to the Joint Water and Sewer Commission to have and to hold for ownership. 123 linear feet, values right just north of $11,000. There is a record drawing attached to the very back that shows you this small piece of infrastructure improvement.
The Facilities Staff Committee did approve this for recommendation to the full board. I have a motion.
I'll move that the Brunswick-Glynn County Joint Water and Sewer Commission accept the Harrington Lane Sewer Extension as public infrastructure for ownership, operation, and maintenance.
I second. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand.
Quick question. So 147, the ones that are between those lots, I mean, is this size that they can tie into it?
Absolutely, yes, sir. And that was the good question, Commissioner. That's why it was an extension rather than just a small lateral.
Oh.
Correct. In those cases, we want to make sure we accommodate future lots that may be in between, and that was agreeable to the developer as well, or to the applicant.
Any other questions? All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Appointment of auditor.
Commissioners, the JWSC issued a request for proposal for auditing services at the end or the beginning of 2018. Of those, the respondents to that, the firm of Malden and Jenkins was selected for an initial year and 2 subsequent years at a cost of $19,900 for each of those 3 years. Malden and Jenkins did complete the audit for fiscal year ending June 30 of 2018, and the fiscal year ending June 30, 2019 will be the second option year of that. The JWSC is required to have a financial audit performed annually for its fiscal year ending June 30th. And then the sole purpose of having that financial audit and the job of the auditors is to express an opinion as to whether the financial statements of the JWSC are presented fairly in all material respects and in accordance with generally accepted auditing or accounting principles. Generally accepted accounting principles are established by the Financial Accounting Standards Board, or FASB, with additional standards for state and local governments established by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, which is GASB. In order to form their opinion, the auditors rely on generally accepted auditing standards in accordance with guidance issued by the Comptroller General of the United States, as well as generally accepted auditing standards, or GAS, which are developed by the Auditing Standards Board of the AICPA, or the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. I emailed out to all of the commission members yesterday the response that Malden and Jenkins provided to the commission when they were selected as auditor. And on page 36 through 42 of that document lists the work that that they will be performing to form the basis of them issuing an opinion on our financial statements.
John, would you like to offer an example for us, just so we just have it on record, some of the things they do to form that opinion? For example, the financial testing of our strength, if you will.
Usually where they start is with they do a review of our existing policies, our financial policies, personnel policies, and so on, and go through all of those. They have to obtain an understanding of the JWSC as the first step in their audit. So they go through those documents. They actually read all of the commission meeting minutes for the year under audit to see if there are any unusual transactions or authorizations of purchases and that type of thing. While they're doing that, they will also do a review of our internal controls over financial transactions, determine whether, and this is all part of determining the areas of risk in each of those financial transaction streams. They'll review those, identify any weaknesses or identify strengths to determine where they need to apply their auditing procedures, which are the substantive testing procedures that they do, where they will essentially take a vendor's purchase and follow that transaction stream all the way to the financial statements to see where that number shows up in an expense line item, and take a sample of those. They will also go backwards from that, taking a number from the financial statements, working back to the source documents to make sure that what's stated in the internal controls and is established as safeguards within our accounting software for approvals are followed all the way back and forth through, and to assure themselves that those are working. They'll also look at how various transactions are booked. For instance, this year, there is a change in how leases are accounted for. Virtually every lease will be a capital lease, where in the past, there were qualifications for a lease to be a capital lease or an operating lease. Pretty much all leases are going to be capitalized henceforth. So they'll look at those type of transactions. They'll obtain representations from our legal counsel. They'll obtain other documentation, for instance, for our pension liabilities from GMA. They'll do confirmations with each of our banks as to the actual balances outstanding. They'll send confirmations to our customers and to some of our vendors to confirm balances. And how much work they do in each of those areas is dependent on their review of our internal controls and testing of how those transactions went through to identify areas of the highest risk.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the summary.
I did that for a living for a long time.
Understood. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the JWSC engage the accounting firm of Malden & Jenkins to perform the financial audit of the Brunswick-Glynn County Joint Water and Sewer Commission for fiscal year ending June 30, 2019, at a cost of $19,900, and that the chairman, executive director, or in this case, the acting executive director and director of finance be authorized to sign the necessary documents.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Item 7 is banking resolution signature cards.
Commissioners, with the Mr. Junkin leaving the organization and Andrew Burrows being named as acting executive director, we need to reauthorize signatures with BB&T Bank for access to those banking accounts. We need to remove Mr. Junkin, add Mr. Burrows to that, and we have the banking resolutions and signature cards here for that today. This was discussed in the Finance Committee meeting yesterday as well and recommended for approval.
Do you have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that Brunswick-Glynn County Joint Water and Sewer Commission approve the addition of the acting executive director as an authorized signatory on the bank accounts of JWSC, and that the chairman, vice chairman, acting executive director, director of finance, and senior financial analyst be authorized to execute the necessary banking resolution and signature cards with BB&T Bank.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Chairman, I believe you've been passed the minutes from the special call meeting of May 8th from the executive session. We need to add those to the agenda and have those approved as well.
I mean, it's on the agenda.
We had an executive session for
We
that.
did, you're right, sure did.
It just didn't make it
Okay.
on the agenda.
We've got the minute, well, let me pass these out.
So do we need a motion to add it to the agenda?
Motion to add executive session to our agenda
I'll second.
of May 8th.
Motion and a second. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries 6-0.
And then now you need to approve them.
Make a motion to approve the special call meeting executive session of May 8th.
Motion and a second. All in favor? I thought we already did that.
No, we didn't, sir.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Executive Director's update.
Yes, sir. Real quick today, as you know, we've been working on getting a manhole rehab RFP submitted out. We were waiting on the SPLOST project RFP, our bid to go out to make sure that we didn't have different bid specs out. Now that that is out, we should be getting that out in the near future for our manholes for the next calendar year. There's approximately 47 of them included. The update on the unserved area study that we requested, they started in mid-April. They've finished all the flow requirements, and they're working on the life cycle costs we requested for the 3 different options for each area. That should be finalized in mid-June, so hopefully the first meeting in July, they can present that to the board. I have been asked to speak next Tuesday at the Rotary Club meeting at Sea Palms on giving a general update of the JWSC, so be doing that. And then we have a meeting with the county community development team next Thursday to work on trying to streamline some of the design review processes where we might be overlapping. And then just wanted to make everybody aware that the annual town hall meetings will be held June 11th and 12th at 6 o'clock. The 11th will be at the casino on the island, and 12th will be at Howard Coffin Park. We'll go through what we got accomplished in the last year and any adjustments to the rate fees, rate resolutions and things of that nature. So other than that, that's all we got.
I want to say thank y'all for adding those to our calendar. I think it's very helpful if we can get those on calendar for future as soon as they come out. That'd be great if we can save the date.
I got something, sir. Excuse me. Also, I would like for our acting executive director to come before the city council and give an update. I was asked last night for periodic updates, maybe quarterly updates as to what's happening with JWSC. And specifically, they are concerned about what's happening in the city too as well, you know, what as it refers to JWSC.
Okay, be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you. It'll be the first meeting in June,
All right.
first Wednesday in June, whatever day that is.
For the chairman's update, I just wanted to commend the staff again for what they've done on the emergency things. And also, we're talking with EPD. We've had several boil water advisories, even though we have maintained an adequate chlorine residual. And so we're trying to talk with them along with some other big communities. The water's perfectly safe to drink, but because of the technicality, we're having to issue that boil water advisory. So our acting executive director is going to be meeting with EPD with a board of other utilities to get that revised so we can not have quite so many of those advertisements when we just have a very small customer leak or something like that that does not affect anybody really.
That's correct.
But our staff is doing a good job. We've got a lot of things going on, and I just want to commend them again. Is there any need for us to have an executive session?
No, sir.
Okay. Hearing none, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.